Good morning to you, Senator. Nice to talk to you.
Good morning, Jimmy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, your thoughts about him not being taken to Guantanamo, apparently being taken to the U.S.?
Well, my thoughts are I'm glad he's custody and that he was going to be held accountable, and he's off the battlefield and he can't be out there targeting more Americans. But I don't agree with the decision to bring him back to the U.S. and read him as Miranda rights and treat him like a common criminal. I think that the reason why we want to apprehend terrorists and take them to a facility like Guantanamo is because you want to be able to access actual intelligence. You want to know, you want to get information about who else is out there in the battlefield, what else are they planning, where are they located, the sorts of things you're able to get through an extended period of interrogation, which you won't get once they read their Miranda rights and are assigned a lawyer. Yeah. This is not the same as apprehending a burglar or someone's committed a murder in the United States. This is more than just that. Certainly they're murderers because of what they did in Benghazi, but beyond that, these are terrorists who are involved in ongoing plots against U.S. interests around the world. So I think it's a big mistake.
It's also questionable about when this man was taken into custody. I mean, the New York Times found him, CNN found him. He was seemingly living in open sight. And why did it take us so long? And is there something to the timing of his arrest?
Well, I don't know if there's something political to the timing. I don't have any proof of that, so I wouldn't make that accusation. I think these are people that certainly aren't hiding from the press the way they would hide from special operations forces. So I do think there's some credibility in the notion that these are guys that you've got to go into a foreign country and take. While they're taking steps to protect themselves, you want to make sure you're able to do it with no casualties on your side and limit the number of casualties and certainly not have any civilian casualties. So I don't have any evidence that this was politically motivated. I'm glad we have them. We're taking them to the wrong place and we're handling it the wrong way.
Yeah. Let's talk about Iraq if we can for just a second. The terrorists, ISIS is moving closer to Baghdad, taking city after city, and we spent a lot of money and a lot of lives trying to secure that nation over the past decade or so. Your thoughts about what you believe we should be doing to try and curtail that?
Well, first, it's important to explain to people why this even matters. I have some people come to me and say, well, why do we care? It's somebody else's country. Let them figure it out. This is not about rebuilding Iraq, although we would certainly love to see an Iraq that's prosperous and democratic and inclusive of both Shia and Sunnis and tolerant of others as well. But that's not the primary issue right now for us. The primary issue is that the reason why 9/11 happened was because al-Qaeda was able to use Afghanistan as a safe haven where they were untouchable, and from there they plotted these attacks and carried them out. What we never want to see happen again is the emergence of a safe haven anywhere in the world, because we know that what they want to do from those safe havens is attack us. They're planning to do that now. If there was a safe haven to do it, it would only accelerate that. And that's what's happening here in Iraq. This group used to be part of al-Qaeda. They are actually in dispute with al-Qaeda because al-Qaeda, as brutal and ugly as al-Qaeda is, they actually have cut ties with this group because this group is brutal to Muslims, and al-Qaeda thinks that that's counterproductive. So they're actually, in some instances, even more brutal than al-Qaeda has been. And so this ISIL group is an extremely dangerous group. They have now established or are on the verge of establishing a safe haven in both areas that encompass both Syria and Iraq. And I think what we need to do is we should target in any way possible through the air and any other means available to us the supply routes that are allowing them to carry out this advance. And those supply routes are coming out of eastern Syria and transversing into western and northwest Iraq. And we should be targeting those supply routes to cut these guys off from making any further advances.
Yeah, one of the concerns, though, is that they seemingly have captured some of the very equipment that we provided to the Iraqi army, and that may include the ability to shoot down our aircraft. That's got to be a large concern, I would imagine.
It is. Some of these machineries are difficult to operate, and they'd have to get defectors from the Iraqi army, so Sunni defectors to help them carry some of this out. But again, these tanks don't work without fuel, and their army can't fight without supplies. And if you can cut off their supply lines from coming over from Syria, I think you'll be successful at halting a lot of the advances they've made.
Yeah, I imagine so. Senator, I happen to be talking to you. I'm in Manchester, New Hampshire, of all places, speaking to you this morning. Yeah. And it's amazing.
You're running for president, Jimmy?
Well, I'm testing the waters. I wanted to find out.
Good for you.
Yeah, so I figured. I didn't know if I'd run into you up here. Have you spent any time up here lately?
No, I was there about a month ago. I did a number of events for the party there, and we had enjoyed doing it and helpful to them. But we're in concentrating right now on three things. Obviously, my job here in D.C., the issues that are emerging in Florida, and then certainly helping candidates around the country, because I think 2014 is a critical election. Obviously, I want to see Republicans gain control of the Senate so we can actually start getting some good things for the country done.
Yeah, I think so too. The Dolphins wound up with a stadium deal yesterday. Miami-Dade County Commissioners voted to craft a deal that would be beneficial to all parties. This has got to be good news. We're going to have a renovated Sun Life Stadium with $350 million new monies from Stephen Ross going into it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I know the details of the financials. I generally am not supportive of these public-private investments into these facilities, but I don't know the details. Maybe this is a good deal for the county. I don't know the details of it. I know that Steve Ross, to his credit, has been nonstop and creative and finally coming up with a solution. And I think obviously they now feel like this will help them attract Super Bowls back to South Florida and other major events.
Yeah, that's good news there. All right, Senator, pleasure talking to you again. I'm sure we'll chat in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Jimmy.